Good morning, students. I have Marchi with me. This is Keon's parents' dog. He was sleeping in this chair, having a great day, and then I came in and set up all my video stuff, and all of a sudden he didn't want to hang out in here anymore. So I've had to motivate him. Good boy. With treats. Actually, I can probably show you a trick of his. Sit. Paw. Paw. Good boy. Let's see if I can get him to turn around in the chair. Okay. Sit. Turn around. Okay. Awesome. He probably won't want to stay, but maybe he'll stay and look out the window. Oh my god, he's so cute. He is about 10 years old, I think. He's a Maltese blend, Maltese Bichon Frise mix, I think. Extremely selfish. Does not care about anyone but himself. He's not the kind of dog that is loyal and always wants to be at your side. He's the kind of dog that wants to do what he wants to do. And the only way to convince him otherwise is food. So he gets away with a lot. But he's so cute that it's okay. Yes. Yes. Aw, and he gave me a kiss. You're welcome, buddy. I think he's confused as to what's happening. Alright, so. No. He likes to chew on his paw, but he's not supposed to. I've got my morning tea. It's a nice Earl Grey this morning. One of these videos, I think I'll show you guys how they make tea here at Keon's parents' house. The Persian tradition involves 2 teapots at once, and it's kind of cool. So when we had video classes last week, a lot of you guys brought your dogs on the screen, and I was super jealous, and that was one thing I was really excited about to come here, is that it's just so nice to have a little fluffer. Yes. A little fluffy thing to pet and hang out with. Also, he might start barking if he sees a dog out the window, and I'll probably pause the video if that starts to happen. Alright, so a couple things I wanted to share with you guys today, besides introduce you to this little fluffy angel. He also needs a haircut, but the groomers are closed, so if you're feeling shaggy right now because you can't get to the barber, Marchi can commiserate with you. Oh, and his nickname is Marchi, but his full name is Marcelo. He's Italian Persian, is what they like to say. Yes. Oh. So cute. Alright, so I wanted to share for our main segment today a piece of yoga philosophy. And this is something I didn't learn about until recently. So I had been doing yoga exercises. I've been doing them for a long time, years and years, and I find a lot of value in those. Okay, there was a lady walking by. She didn't even have a dog, and he still got all excited. So anyways, yoga philosophy, the physical practice of yoga is only one part of the whole. Yoga is basically like a way of life, and the physical practice is only one of those parts, and I had no idea that there was this whole other world. And like the breath is one of the parts, the yamas are one of the parts, the niyamas, and these are kind of like philosophy beliefs about how to live. So this book by Deborah Adele, The Yamas and Niyamas, Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice, is really interesting because it goes through the yamas are the things that you should avoid doing, and then the niyamas are things that you should try to do more. And it's just about like how to be a better person, basically. And it was really interesting to me to start learning about this, and I started reading this book a long time ago, and I got halfway through, and then I decided to just start it over because everything in here is super valuable, and I think it takes a long time for these things to set in. Like, you can't just read this book and start living your life that way. Like, you need to think about it and, you know, try to put it into practice over a long period of time. So anyways, the first yama, which is the thing that you should not, is called ahimsa, which is just non-violence. And what that might sound to you like at first is physical violence, right? That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of violence. And she's got this piece here. It says, killing and doing physical harm are grosser forms of violence that are easily seen and understood. However, nonviolence has many subtle implications as well. When we feel hurried, afraid, powerless, out of balance, and harsh with ourselves, we may find ourselves speaking words of unkindness, or even exploding with a violent outburst. Oh, there's a dog outside. So basically, as our awareness of these nuances grows, we learned that our ability to be nonviolent to others is directly related to our ability to be nonviolent within ourselves. So a lot of doing no harm to other people means that you're not doing harm to yourself. So she talks about how violence starts with fear, and if you can avoid fear, you can avoid doing harm to others and to yourself. And the way to avoid fear is to practice stepping out of your comfort zone, to practice having courage, and it could be really small. She says seeking out people and experiences we would normally avoid provides a fertile place to learn new things about ourselves and about life. So that can be as simple as going to a social situation where you don't know a lot of people and just introducing yourself to someone you don't know, which can feel really scary. It can be traveling to someplace new once the coronavirus has died down a little bit. There are lots of different ways to practice being courageous, but when you are able to, not let fear control you, you're better able to be gentle with yourself and others. A lot of irrational human behavior comes out of fear. She says, as we expand ourselves into these new places, our minds and hearts grow more open, and we have less need to be violent. So that's about being courageous. And part of fear can be being afraid of feeling powerless. Powerlessness is something that scares a lot of people. That's why a lot of us feel the need to control everything in our lives and to have an order and a plan. And the truth is that these plans aren't always going to happen. Obviously, our situation right now with coronavirus, schools have closed. You may feel powerless because maybe you're not allowed to leave your house. You're not allowed to go to school. You can't have your routine as usual. Life as we know it has totally changed, and it is out of our control. And that can be scary. We might feel, even sad about being powerless to help other people who might have coronavirus. And there are ways to deal with that are productive. So she's got this quote here that she shares from Yogi Raj Ashala. I hope I said that right. The quote is, "I excite myself with my incompetencies." So she says that with this attitude, feelings of powerlessness becomes an opportunity to become competent rather than violent. So rather than striking out out of fear, because you can't control the situation and you're afraid of what's going to happen, if you can change your mindset, right, because everything in life starts with your attitude. If you can change your mindset to one of, I'm powerless in this situation, what can I learn about how to deal with this in a more productive and helpful way? Right? And even though there's not things you can do to change a situation, there's things that you can do to change how you react to it, right? With all that mindfulness stuff that we talk about, you're not responding in an instant with an act of violence or frustration. You can take a second to step back and then, you're not reacting. You can take a second to step back and then just respond with something more gentle and loving, and ultimately put something better out into the world. And ultimately, a lot of this starts from, again, how you treat yourself and your attitude towards yourself. And that's why it's important to cultivate self-love and to come to terms with who you are and your interests and your shortcomings and your strengths. Self-love and how you treat yourselves is how you treat others around you. She says if you're a taskmaster with yourself, others will feel your whip. So if you're really critical of yourself, if you're really harsh with yourself, that's going to translate into your interactions with other people. He's got his little bone. I like to mess with him when he has his bone. All right. So love lies at the core of nonviolence and begins with our love of self. So you have to start with you. Not a love that is egocentric, so that means where you're full of yourself and think you're better than everyone, but a love that is forgiving and lenient. A love that sees the humor in the imperfections and accepts the fullness of the human expression. So loving yourself is truly the key to a lot of things, but especially in this book, she talks about how it's the key to living a nonviolent life, where you're doing less harm to yourself, less harm to others, less harm to Earth and all the living things around us. Our inability to love and accept all the pieces of ourselves creates ripples, tiny acts of violence that have a huge and lasting impact on others. And the last thing I want to share from this chapter, again, there's so much in this book that I'm going to go back and reread this chapter probably later today. So I'm just giving you little tidbits, and I hope they kind of make sense the way I'm putting them together. But this last part, she talks about developing compassion. We learn compassion as we dissolve our personal vision of the world and grow gentle eyes that are not afraid to see reality as it is. We learn compassion as we stop living in our heads, where we can neatly arrange things, and ground ourselves in our bodies, where things might not be so neat. So if you are trying mindfulness out for yourself during this pandemic quarantine craziness, I would encourage you to try having a mindful moment where you close your eyes and you pay attention to your breath and think about developing compassion for yourself. And remember that when we practice mindfulness, we're getting out of our heads and we're connecting more with our bodies through the breath. And as she says, in our heads, we think we can neatly arrange things and that we think we can make everything make sense. But real life isn't like that. Real life doesn't always make sense. Real life is messy. And when we ground ourselves in our body, where things can be messy and, illnesses, injuries, I don't know, the Chinese food that you ate is messing with your stomach. Like, things don't always go the way you want to in your body. You can't control everything in your body like you can your head. You can see Marchi. So by practicing mindfulness, remember that you can leave your head for just a brief moment and tap into your body. And by doing so, by developing that connection to your body, you're developing compassion because you can become more aware of the way things are rather than the way you wish things would be or that you think you can make things become. I hope that made sense. This book, the content is so dense that when I read it, I have to rethink it over and over again. So it's really hard to put into words. But for me, this has been a good practice. I feel like I'm absorbing the material more by trying to share it. One of the things I love about teaching. All right, last part here, guys. I'm going to share a poem with you. I think I have one ready. Yes. It's called Self-Love. So I try to pick something on theme for today. I actually have, I can't remember if I bought her book or not. I have so many books in my bedroom, I don't know which ones I have. This one was on my Amazon wish list for a while. It's a book by Lang Leav. And this poem is called Self-Love. And it says, and here's what it looks like on my phone, just so you can see the shape of the poem. No. It's not supposed to bite his paws. So the poem is called Self-Love. Once when I was running from all that haunted me, to the dark I was succumbing to what hurt unbearably, searching for the one thing that would set my sad soul free. In time I stumbled upon it, an inner calm and peace, and now I am beginning to see and to believe in who I am becoming and all I've yet to be. And what I love about that is that I think self-love can be really hard because no one is ever finished becoming who they are. And as far as what I believe, I don't believe that you ever reach a point in life where you're like, this is it. I'm exactly the best version of myself. I don't think we can ever really get there just because of inherent human flaws. So it's kind of annoying that you always have to keep trying. But I love the positivity at the end of the poem that she says she's starting to see and to believe in who I am becoming. So in process, right? We're always in process becoming a better version of ourselves if we're consciously trying to cultivate that. And all I've yet to be. And there's hope in that. You know, there are things that you will become and turn into and realize about yourself that you just don't know yet. And right now, in this quarantine time, you're probably spending a lot of time with yourself. And some people don't like to be alone. Some people get frustrated, bored. Maybe you don't want to be with your thoughts. But try to push through that, because this is a really valuable time to connect with yourself. And again, it's not about trying to fix yourself or force yourself into becoming somebody that you're not. It's about accepting yourself for who you are and loving yourself, and then thinking about who are you in the process of becoming. Because the answer to that question, like who are you becoming, is completely up to you. It starts with your attitude and then trickles down into your actions. Anyways, I feel like this turned into like some crazy life lesson. So that was the morning tea for today. I'm glad that you guys got to meet little Marchi. He's very cute and fluffy. We might give him a haircut later. So if we do give him a haircut at some point, I will definitely bring him back for an update. It might turn out very poorly. We'll see. All right, I hope you guys are having a great day, and that you're finding things to do, and that you're loving yourself, and that you're not feeling too frustrated by all this powerlessness that we're all experiencing right now. Just remember that this time will end, and we'll come out the other side just fine. All right, I love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.